Hey there, everybody. How's it going? Nice to see you again. So, IQDS, I suffer from it. Image quality derangement syndrome. There's no question about it. But so the video I made yesterday was really good in the sense that it helped me understand and put into perspective what I'm thinking. Okay. And remember I said in the video, like, maybe my perspective is wrong. And I think that's the case. I think the important takeaway from the video yesterday is that, first of all, Confucius said that accepting change, the inability to accept change is the root of all human suffering. And the thing is digital has come along and there's been a huge change. And part of the video yesterday was my reaction to this. I mean, there's a part of me that's extremely nostalgic for film. There's no question about that. I just love the whole process. But on the other hand, it all depends on what your priorities are and where you put your emphasis. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is if, you know, obviously if you take Luminar Neo and you replace your skies in your landscape photographs, there's a certain, and I'm going to say it, there's a certain lack of integrity in that. I think most people, you know, and I'm not saying it's not a lot of fun, and that's great. And if it turns you on to go out and take a mediocre landscape and then replace the sky and turn it into this stunning visual thing and print it and hang it on your wall, that's great. Okay. Don't, you know, I think most people would agree, don't try to pass it off as what you saw while you were there. I mean, as long as you're upfront when people come over to your living room and look at your print and go, oh, that's awesome. Say, well, I did replace the sky. I mean, as long as you're transparent about it and honest about it, I don't see any problem with that for your own personal enjoyment. I don't think you're going to get the recognition of other photographers. And I think part of the problem is, like, I see it on Instagram a lot. There's photographs that are just absolutely complete fakery. And there's a lot of people, Facebook, same thing. And a lot of people are like, oh, what an awesome photograph. Fantastic. Great capture. You see that a lot too. And it's like, it's clearly fake. So, you know, I mean, the thing that has grated me the most, that has chapped my hide the most in photography over the past 20 years is Peter Lick's photograph where the clouds are going behind the moon and he's selling them and everybody thinks he's such a, well, a lot of people think, a lot of uninformed, ignorant people think he's a great photographer. And if you don't understand why I have a problem with that, then you don't get this discussion at all, okay? Okay, Galen Rowell said, and this was before digital, you know, this was with film, and film was, you know, to a certain extent, a little bit more, had a little bit more inherent integrity. The integrity of the photograph is only as good as the integrity of the photographer. So really what it comes down to, and here's what I'm trying to say, image quality derangement syndrome, and Ansel Adams is capable of causing that in people. He really brings that out in you, okay? It's something that photographers are susceptible to. It's why all the it's why all the popular, not top, all the popular YouTubers right now with 100,000 subscribers or more are getting free Hasselblads. And they're like, this is the greatest camera ever, and I really need this to make my work great. And yeah, they're getting them for free. And I'll say it again. I mean, you know, if they wouldn't buy it themselves, then why are you shilling for the company, right? If you don't think that the camera was worth the outlay of your own personal money and you wouldn't buy it yourself. Thomas Eaton is a good example of that. I don't think he would actually shell out 14 grand on an Earth Explorer kit. So here's the thing. I have an image. It's one of my favorite images that I've taken recently of the Finnish Apostolic Lutheran Church. It's historic, like 1846. It's up in Pendleton, Oregon. just outside of Pendleton, Oregon. And so far I printed it like 7.5 by 7.5 and kind of that size, and framed it and matted it. It's in my dining room. I really enjoy the photograph. But the other day I took a scan of 4x5 negative, and I printed it out 16 by 20. And that would be this one here, okay? And it's great. The image quality is fantastic. The tonality is beautiful. And I really appreciate the photograph. And I said to myself, yeah, you know, 4x5 is the way to go. There's no question about it. That's awesome, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know, after I made the video last night and people started commenting on it, I said to myself, I wonder what would happen if I printed the church image, which was the Fuji X-T5 with the 70 to 300 millimeter lens. I wonder if I printed that 16 by 16, I wonder how good it would be. And here it is. And yeah, it's as good as, if not better than, the 4x5 scanned image. And I know they're different images, but quality's quality, you know. And particularly in these clouds, I mean, that's as good. I couldn't ask for more. If I had shot this on 4x5 or 8x10 film, and this is the result I got with a scan and printed it, or even in the darkroom, I'd be absolutely perfectly happy. And I don't mean happy in the sense that like it's good enough. I mean, I'd be thrilled with that, okay? That's Fuji X-T5. And it's even cropped. So it's not even 40 megapixels. It's what, the 26 megapixels right there. So it really comes down to image quality derangement syndrome. And so what's the takeaway? Well, the important thing, so obviously, okay, from a fine art perspective, and in my opinion, over 40 years of looking at fine art photographs, either one of those is viable, okay? The 4x5 scan printed is viable. If I printed it in a darkroom and could do as good a job as the scan and the printing did, that's viable. The Fuji X-T5 is viable up to 16 by 16 or 16 by 20 or 16 by 22 or whatever it is. Because the Fuji 40 megapixel file prints natively at 300 DPI to 17 by 21, I think, or something like that. It's a nominal 16 by 20 at 300 DPI, which is kind of the standard for fine art printing. And somebody commented, you know, for bigger prints, you can even go lower. Well, you could go even bigger, but quite honestly, 16 by 20 is the limit for me. And really, so what's the takeaway from Ansel Adams' auction recently, where all the prints sold for more money? They were mostly 16 nominal. I think they were all that I saw 16 by 20 nominal prints. So you can make so it's been established that 16 by 20 black and white prints can sell for millions of dollars, right? So 16 by 20 is kind of your standard, okay, set forth by Ansel Adams. Well, with digital, I can make 16 by 20 fine art prints. So just because you can doesn't mean you should. And with Photoshop and DxO Photo Lab 6 is what I'm using. I will upgrade to 8 Black Friday when the sale comes around. I can do all kinds of digital trickery, but the point is the integrity of photograph is only as good as the integrity of the photographer. So I say now that I don't do that in my photography. So, and I think I have a long established record of coming down on the side of, you know, my position on what kind of digital manipulation I will accept as acceptable for my work. You can do whatever you want with your work. And so I establish a provenance of integrity that way. AOWS had a video about documenting your work. To a certain extent, he's got a point. I mean, the videos on YouTube kind of bring the viewer with you when you take your photograph, so they see what you saw and how you did it. And that creates kind of a provenance for the photograph as well. Film, obviously, you have the negative and or the chrome, and that creates a provenance. But it's the choices you make beyond digital or film that can elevate your work to a fine art level. And what I mean by that is, again, like take this image here, right? I printed it on Moab Juniper, 100% cotton archival paper, okay, with Canon pigment archival inks. They have the new 1100 printer out that has a new set of inks. I don't know if they're more archival or not. They might be. But right now, the industry standard is the Canon pigment or the Epson pigment inks. And and so making those choices and then dry mounting them with color mount onto archival museum, 100% cotton museum board, the way Ansel did. Like, so even though the photograph is made, was captured digitally and printed digitally, it was processed in the most archival method possible, okay? If Ansel were alive today and he were using digital, and he were printing digital prints, and he was displaying them for gallery representation, this is, I believe, this is how he would do it. And if there's a way that I could make my prints more to Ansel's standards in a digital world, I would do that. I'm constantly searching for that. So the point that I'm trying to make is, and this is kind of the conclusion to my video yesterday, and my takeaway from that in thinking about it. Like yesterday, I think of it this way. Yesterday I asked a question. Today I'm answering it for myself. Okay, having thought about it. And with your guys' comments, they were really, some of them were really excellent. So the idea is the emphasis on the capture method is not as important, whether it's film or digital. What's important is the processes afterwards and the decisions made afterwards. That it's the small, the devil's in the details. It's the small details that can elevate good photography into take it to the fine art level. And for me, and what's interesting is that rule. A lot of photographers these days, they don't even print their work. Okay, and the print to me is the final end goal of the whole process. If you don't print it, it's not a photograph. And that's my quote. You can quote me on that, okay? But when you do print it, like, you know, if your prints are taken to the highest level of archivability and permanence, and which is the same thing, I guess, aesthetic quality, okay, all of those factors factor in, then that's what separates the fine art from everything else, okay? Thanks for putting up with my image quality derangement syndrome. I really appreciate it. I hope this video makes you think about your work and maybe gives some people some direction in terms of like how they can think about their work in terms of they want to make it better or take it to a higher level. Okay, yeah. So this video is something that a lot of other photographers don't talk about. They talk about 50 tips on how to not, you know, shake your camera. I mean, all this ridiculous. Obviously, it's content to feed the algorithm. But, and I'm sure it's helpful to some people, which is fine. But this is, I would say this is like intermediate photography, right? You've already got your camera, you got your, now what are you going to do with all those images? Well, the answer is the next step is to get yourself a really good high quality pigment-based printer and some really good high quality archival 100% cotton paper and start printing. And the printing is where you're, you know, if you're looking at it on a screen, you don't know what your photography is like, okay? Printing is where it's at. So that's my advice. Again, thank you to all my Patreon supporters. You can join for free. There's content up there for you, okay, for free. And you can also join for a nominal $1 a month to get access to all the content. And but that's not required. And don't forget my book, which is now available for pre-order. It will start shipping around November 15th. And that's another thing. I mean, if you look at the images in this book, there's 3 different sections from 3 different periods in my life when I was doing different kinds of work. And the image capture method didn't matter, right? When you guys start getting these books, let me know if you see much of a difference. I don't. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Thanks for all the great comments. It helped me overcome this episode of image derangement syndrome. And for those of you who are really wondering what I'm doing, having thought long and hard about it, I'm not bringing the 4x5 with me. I'm just bringing the Fujis, the APS-C Fujis on this big trip. It's all I need, and I'm happy with that. And that's the important part, is I'm happy with that. So please like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, but subscribe to my channel if you like content that's a little bit more in-depth. This is it. This is the place. So I appreciate it. We'll see you out there. Have a great one. Bye.